What's up guys, welcome back to today's tutorial. So today I'll be showing you how to make this bodice, and it can be graded to any size above or lesser, and this is size 8. So let's get to it. The first thing to do is to roll a vertical line and a horizontal line with an intersection at point 0. This forms the baseline for further measurements I'm going to place on this pattern paper. Then I'm going ahead to place my shoulder width measurement divided by 2. Then I'll go down by an inch for the shoulder slope. And then I'm going to place my armhole measurement. That's my armhole circumference divided by 2. Now I'm going ahead to place my vertical measurements, which are my half length and then the full length of the bodice. I didn't know my camera did not get the full coverage of this pattern paper, but notwithstanding, you're going to see a repeat of this by the end of the video where I'll be making the back bodice of this sloper. So I'm simply squaring this out and extending the line to my right of the pattern paper. So this is me simply extending my armhole measurements I just took to my right, and I'll be placing my bust measurement on this line. So I'm going ahead to place my bust point measurement plus 0.5, and I'm going to use faint lines on this. So this forms the apex of our dart, which I'll be placing on this pattern very soon. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out my neck width and my neck depth. And I'm going to use my French curve to create a neckline curve. Now I'm simply going to place my bust circumference divided by 4 on this line. Okay, before that, I'm ruling a line to connect this point to my shoulder slant. Then I'll divide the line. Okay, then I'll connect the shoulder slant to the neck width. Moving ahead, I'm dividing this line by 2. I'm marking the midpoint. From this midpoint, I'm going in by 0.75. So then I'm moving ahead to place my bust measurements divided by 4. That's my bust circumference by 4. And I'm going to mark it on this line. Now using this, I'm going to connect this point I just marked to the 0.75 mark I made earlier on from the midpoint of this line, and I'm going to create the front armhole curve. Now connect this to this, then back to the shoulder slant. So this is how it looks. And if you're doing this with me, this is how yours too should look like. Now moving ahead to the bust point line, simply going to place my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, and I'm marking it like so. Now extend this nipple to nipple point down to my waistline and down to the hemline, and I'll use a vertical line to connect these 3 points. Now on this waistline, I'm going to move on both sides by half an inch, and I'm going to connect my dart. This is a typical standard dart. So normally this is what I do for myself, but people do it differently. You can either connect this line to the end of your bodice, or you can go ahead by half an inch or one, but I prefer to go up by an inch from the hemline and connect my dart legs like so to the waist. Now you have your standard dart, and now I'm going to place my waist measurement. Now you have to consider that you added an inch of that allowance. So while measuring, you're going to exclude that from your waist measurement. Another way to do this is your waist circumference by 4 plus any amount you use for your that. And in this case, I used 1. So my waist measurement by 4, my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1. That will give me a total of 8. So now moving ahead to connect this to the armhole, that's the bust line. So I decided to add 0.5 inch for ease at the waistline, but this is optional, it's up to you. And I'm connecting it back to the bust line. Now I'm going to divide my hip measurements by 4, and whatever I get, I'm placing it on this line, hemline, and I'm connecting it to the waistline. So to avoid the pointed ends at the hemline, I'm going in by half the measurement of this hip line, which is 5, and up by an inch. Some people use an inch, some people use 0.5, but I think I'm going to use 0.5. A rule in sewing is I prefer to have much than have less. So now I'm going to connect this with my French curve to create this curve. So this takes away that sharp end at the hemline. So now I'm simply going to mark out my measure points with um, marker pen so that it will be very visible to you. As I was explaining, it's better to have more fabric or more pattern paper or more of anything while sewing, because you can easily shape it out, cut it out. But in a case where you have less, it means you spoiled the whole garment. So rather than having little, I prefer to add more because it gives me the opportunity to reduce if I want to. So now I'm simply labeling, and here we have it. We have our center front on a fold. Now moving to the back, I'm simply going to repeat the whole process. So if you could not see the points I was making in the front bodice, this is an opportunity for you. So now I'm marking the neck width and the shoulder width divided by 2, and I'm going down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Now I'm placing my armhole measurement from the 1 inch I took, and I'm squaring it out to this point. Then I'm placing my neck depth, and I'm going to connect this. My neck depth at the back is 1.5. It's standard for me. I've used this always and it always works. Then I'm going to connect the armhole, the shoulder slant to the neck width rather. Then I'm going to place my armhole line, divide this by 2 and get the midpoint as well. So now I'm going to place the bust circumference by 4 right here, and I'm going to use this to create the back armhole curve. So if you notice difference between this and the front armhole curve, the front one went in by 0.75, but this is just straight. We didn't go in at all. So I'm going ahead to place my vertical measurement, and for the back, the apex of the dart is 9 inches. This is optional. You can use your discretion. You can go higher or you can go lesser, but I prefer 9 inches. Now I'm going to place the back half length. Mind you, the back half length is different from the front half length. So I'm placing my back half length, which is an inch shorter than the front half length. But you need to take the measurements of this because it's different for different people. So I'm squaring up this half length line, and this forms my waistline. So I'm going to place my nipple to nipple measurement again on the bust line, the half length, which is the waistline, and I'm taking half an inch on both sides of that of the waistline. Now I'm taking the nipple to nipple measurement down to the hemline, and as I did before, I'm going up by an inch. Now I'll connect all these points and create my dart, my standard dart for the back bodice. I've actually made a video on this, but I think it's a little bit complicated, but this one is user and beginner friendly. This can be done as easily as possible and it doesn't take a lot of time. And the good thing is you can do this and use it over and over again. You can grade it to a size bigger or a size um lesser, smaller. So now I'm placing my waist measurement, and the same way I did for the front, I'm going to add up my that measurement, which is an inch. Now I'm going to connect these points to the bust line, and I'm placing my hip measurement, hip circumference divided by 4 right here, and I'm dividing it by 2. Then I'll connect this hip line to the waist measurement. Then I'll do the curve for the hemline as I did for the front. Go up by half an inch and then connect it to the point that we marked earlier. So that's about it. So now I'm going ahead to, okay, yeah, here I'm going to remove this back zipper bulge. So to do this, I'm going in at this point, the waistline at this point by half an inch, and I'll merge it to the upper part and the lower part of this bodice. So I don't know if you've noticed people who make clothes and at the end of it you see kind of a bulge. Yeah, that's because of this. But to take care of that, you can simply do this while drawing your pattern. So this kinds of gives the back a contour. It makes it flat on the body. So I'm adding up my zip allowance and I'm merging it as well. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, as the only motivation I have for doing all this is once I have views and new people subscribe to me. Let me say thank you to my subscribers, those that have been with me for a very long time, even though I've been in and out of this channel. Say thank you. So here I'm just tracing out my major points with a marker pen. Then I'll label every point I need to label for future reference. So I'll be using this over and over again to make pattern drafting. I'll use it for grading, pattern grading. I'll use it for that manipulations. I'll use it to create different style lines as we move forward. So if you have yours, you can actually use it to follow me as I make all of this. So I'm marking up my shoulder and I'm labeling it. This is the back bodice and it's size 8, which is also my medium. So here you have it. I have my front and back bodies, and like I mentioned earlier, I'll be using it for other tutorials. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with me. Hope to see you in my next one. Bye. Remember to share, like, and subscribe.